Hey, are you planning on snorkeling on your trip to Hawaii? I mean, it's really fun, right? I mean, and everyone talks about snorkeling in Hawaii. It is amazing. You do see like incredible sea life. It's a must do, actually. I mean, who wouldn't want to swim with little fishies, right? But you know what? You might be a little surprised to find out that snorkeling is the #1 cause of drowning for visitors who come to Hawaii. And you know, the sad part is that, you know, most of those drownings could have been avoided. So in this video, I'm going to give you some really simple advice, some things that you could do that'll keep you safe, that'll keep you from drowning when you go snorkeling in Hawaii. Aloha, I'm Peter Kay, and I moved to Hawaii in the 80s when I was 21 years old. And I've lived here ever since, and I'm living the dream. This channel is for people of all ages who want to live in Hawaii. So if that's you, this is your channel. Get subscribed, get the notifications so you'll know when the new videos come out. Let's talk about the top 5 things that you can do snorkeling to keep you safe and keep you from drowning. Number 1, talk to the lifeguard first. Now, I go in this in much more detail in the first video in this series about staying safe. But really simple, talk to the lifeguard. These guys know the conditions, they know the beach, they know the area, they know if there's dangerous conditions that you need to be aware of. The best time to talk to a lifeguard is when you don't need to. Number 2, snorkel with a buddy. Never go in snorkeling by yourself. When you do go snorkeling with a buddy, you gotta keep an eye out for each other. Let me tell you a quick story. I went snorkeling with a really good friend of mine, my best friend from high school. And he's a scuba certified, good swimmer, right? So we go out and we go in some deep water, right? It's pretty hairy, but we're okay. We know what we're doing. He's experienced, I'm experienced, right? It's all right. But we didn't pay attention to each other. We didn't look out for each other. And, you know, I'm snorkeling around and all of a sudden I look around and he's nowhere. I don't know where he is. And I can't find him. And, you know, so I start looking. Well, I did find him, but we had drifted really far apart. And so right there in the water, I told him, hey man, we got to look out for each other because we cannot get we can't let each other get drifted too far apart. Otherwise, you're defeating the whole purpose of having a buddy, because when you need help, you're not going to have it. So when you go with a buddy, keep an eye out for each other. Make sure you don't get too far. Every so often, look around, make sure you know where they are, and make sure that they're doing the same thing to make sure they know where you are. Hey, are you on my newsletter? I send out a free newsletter every week that invites you to free shows that we have every other Friday. We have special photos of the week. We also have, of course, videos and articles that appear on our website. It's all free, of course. You can unsubscribe anytime. Click on the link in the description. It'll bring you up to the website. Put in your email address and get on that. You'll want to be a part of that for sure, especially if you want to live in Hawaii. Okay, number 3, you want to warm up in shallow water. So what I mean by warm up is, you know, unless you're an experienced snorkeler, you've never done this before, you know, this is going to be maybe one of the first time you're going to put a mask on you. You want to do all this in really shallow water. Shallow meaning, you know, like let's say waist high, right? No deeper than waist high, because you want to do it so that, you know, if anything happens, you just got to stand up. That's, you know, keep that in mind. Freak out, stand up, and you're good. And really what you want to do in this shallow water, you want to test out the equipment. You want to make sure that your mask isn't leaking. You want to make sure you got the snorkel tube right. If you got fins on, you want to make sure you got your fins on. You want to make sure you're comfortable. Make sure everything's working good. Make sure you're really comfortable in the snorkeling mode. And do it until you're really confident. Number 4, practice diving. You know, people don't understand that, you know, again, if you've never been snorkeling before, you know, you kind of like don't realize sort of what you got to do when you dive underwater. because that snorkel tube is gonna fill up with water. And so you have to get a little comfortable with how that's gonna work. So you wanna practice that. And you wanna practice that in the shallow, waist-high water. You wanna dive down, make sure, if you're in waist-high water, you should dive right to the bottom. It won't be deep, 3 feet maybe, right? You wanna dive down, get to the bottom of the water, make sure you're fully immersed, make sure that tube, that snorkel tube, gets fully filled up with water so you know how to deal with it. And of course, obviously, when the tube is full of water, you're not gonna be breathing, so you gotta learn all that. So what you gotta learn, right, is these fundamentals. Before you dive, you take a deep breath, put your tongue over the tube so water doesn't go in your mouth, go down to the bottom, come back up, but you wanna surface up where you're still looking down, you're still looking at all the little fishies, but you're gonna surface so that the back of your body is just kind of broke the surface, and then blow out that tube hard to clear it, and then you could breathe again. I think that, I don't have any empirical data to back this up, but my guess is that a lot of people who haven't snorkeled before get kind of freaked out with the idea, of taking a deep breath, going underwater, having that tube fill up with water, and having to blow out when you surface. Practice that in shallow, waist-high water so you feel comfortable. And finally, number 5, don't touch the reefs. Now look, you might say, wait, how does touching the reefs, how do I drown from touching the reefs? Okay, well, you're not gonna drown, but you could get really hurt because those reefs, it's like razor blades, man. It's razor, and I mean razor sharp. If you touch those reefs, even the most slightest touch, there's a really good chance you're gonna get a cut. I've been snorkeling and going in the water since the 80s. Do the math how long I've been doing it, okay? I still cut myself to this day. We go in the water, and I go over the reefs, and I accidentally, hit a rock or hit a small piece of coral. I do not walk on the reefs. That's just insane. But still, I walk in the water and I'll come across a piece of coral and wham, I'll get a cut. The worst part, it's not just a cut, because what could happen is you not only cut yourself an open wound, but a little piece of coral comes off and gets buried in the cut. And that's a problem, man, because coral, that'll never heal, right? That's never gonna heal. So you gotta basically, in addition to and antiseptics won't do it. Like putting, hydrogen peroxide or iodine or whatever, it's not gonna do it. It's like a little piece of living, it's a little organic rock. So the only way out is you gotta dig that thing out. I've dug out my share of coral pieces, but every so often, the coral piece gets lodged into my foot in a place where I can't reach it. So then what I gotta do is I gotta bow down and I gotta ask my wife, in submission like an idiot, hey honey, I got a coral buried, can you kind of dig it out? And then I catch all kinds of stuff for that, right? Because I'm stupid. Don't do that. So what are those 5 things really quick? Talk to the lifeguard, find out the conditions, swim with a buddy, make sure you know where each other are at, go into the shallow stuff, get yourself acclimated, make sure you know how the equipment works, kind of figure out how all that works. Number 4, in the shallow water, practice diving, do the whole hold your breath, dive under, come up, blow it out kind of thing till you're really, really comfortable, right? And then finally, number 5, do not step on the coral unless you want to get your feet cut up or your legs cut up and have coral lodged in cuts that then your spouse is going to have to pull out and give you all kinds of you-know-what over. All right, you got a question for me? In the description, I've got a link to a form. Fill the form out, put your name in there, tell me where you're from, so I can give you credit on the video. I'm Peter K, and I have been enjoying the beach relatively safely since the 80s. I've only gotten hurt a few times, and I'm gonna pass that knowledge on to you. I live in the most beautiful place on earth. I'm living the dream, and so can you. Aloha. Do you know that people break their necks on the beach in Hawaii all the time? I mean, you go to the hospital You ask them about broken necks and they'll tell you the beaches that have all the broken necks. As I created another video for you to watch about how not to break your neck. You want to watch this stuff. People get hurt and it doesn't need to be you.